Okay, hi everyone. I'm currently producing a new song for my solo project, Tromsness, and I wanted to show you one of the tracks that I'm working on. It's a synth line, and I wanted to show you how I create interest in the synth line. It's a minimalistic synth line, it's very repetitive. I wanted to show you how I keep the listener's attention. So I'm going to show you the synth line dry, and then I'm going to show you wet and go into some of the details of the plugins that I use and strategies I use. So here's it dry. So you get the idea. Let's put all these on, and now this is it wet. Hey, there you go. That's always nice. System overload. This is a 2011 MacBook, by the way. Anyway, let's take a look under the hood. Boom. Got all this automation. I'm going to take you through each one of these one by one. So the compressor is just leveling things out, doing a nice job of that. I'm going to revisit the compressor a little later. I don't know if you really need it on a MIDI track right now. The decapacitator is giving it a little bit of that saturation color. So you can see it's just giving it a little bit of that color. I don't want it too much, because when that cutoff peaks at the end, I don't want it to be too distorted. Okay, so that's what that is doing. The primary tool that I'm using on this track is the stereo delay. Before I get into the stereo delay, quick little tip here. This is my cutoff. As the track is crescendoing, as it's building, I'm creating interest by automating the cutoff, which gives it a bit of a crescendo, distorts it a little bit as well. But the really interesting stuff is in the stereo delay, and the stereo delay sounds exactly the way it's titled. You have one going hard left, one going hard right, and you can automate and create very specific colors for each side. So then when you're hearing it, it's going to add a lot of different variety. So what I've done is I've done an eighth note on my left, dotted eighth on my right, so da 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 da. And I've got my deviation here. This is important because what it's going to do is it's going to give it more of an analog sound. Back in the day, like with the Echo, with all the with all the different analog gear, the Space Echo is what I'm thinking. They would be using, it'd be a piece of hardware, and you'd have to physically get it to line up with the tempo of your track. Whereas now we just, quantize everything to the track. But to give it that human touch, I actually just deviate it a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. And what that's going to do is that's going to just subtly give it a little bit of that human color and human feel. You probably won't notice it a lot, but it's going to be there kind of in the glue of the track. We've got feedback. This crossfeed is a neat feature, so that's going to send a certain amount of the left channel right, a certain amount of the right channel left, and then just your output mix. And what I've done is I've automated my mix and my crossfeed, and that's where the bulk of the character comes for this. So let's give that a listen. You can hear the left comes in earlier, slowly bringing the right in. Cross-feeding it over a little bit, which gives it some distortion actually. next is the tape delay. I really like the tape delay. This is a great plugin. I actually use it on a lot of tracks to create tape color. You just put the wet 100%, bring the feedback down, take the delay down to 0, and it'll give you a nice saturation. I like to use the diffuse mode because you can program in different warbles and effects. I've subtly kind of programmed that in a little bit. I don't want it to be too detuned or anything like that. And what this is doing is it's just giving our 8th note, do 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 do, giving that a little bit more attack, and it's just drawing that out a little bit more. And again, my tempo deviation is different. It's not 100% on 0. It's not going to be 100% quantized. It's less than 2% out. But let's give it a listen with this plugin on it now. So you can hear how that's, I put it in a little more, it's adding to it. You get the idea with that. The last thing that I've put on is the reverb. And the reverb is just going to give it a nice tail. It's nothing too crazy. At the end, I max the reverb out, and that gives it a really cool crescendo effect into that gap of time before the drums come in. So let's give this a listen with the reverb on it now. I'll show you the drums another time because I'm really excited about that part too. So this is how I create interest in a minimalistic synth track. You can see here my strategy was just playing around in the actual synth, trying to find out what sounded good, what didn't sound good, and then playing with the delay, finding out what I liked, and then once I find out what I liked, I was like, hey, you know what, I like it. I like this balance. I like this amount of deviation. I like this mix, left, right. Then what I did is I automated that in and said, you know what, let's start simple. Let's expand some things as we're progressing. We're crescendoing. We're creating interest. We're slowly bringing more in to keep the listener interested. If the track just sounded like this, I think you'd check out pretty quick. I know I would. So it's really fun just to mess around with these things and to automate them out and to try and keep things interesting and yet not too complicated. I don't think this complicates it. Because it is an introduction and because it's the only track, you can put more elements that would otherwise get buried with other tracks in it. But yeah, this is how I keep things interesting in the production world. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let's listen to it one more time. There you go. Thanks so much.